Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, we're going to be seeing a video today taking you guys all the way to Turkey. All right, this is titled How Turkey Became So Expensive So Fast. All right, I know I've seen videos about how cheap Turkey is, but seeing this video, I'm kind of curious, like, is it really expensive or it's just the title? Let's just check this video. If you're curious to see this with me, please subscribe. And if you find this video interesting, do it to like, share, and comment. All right, so let's jump in.
I need to delete this video I made a couple of years ago because it is no longer accurate.
Why is Turkey so cheap right now? And I mean cheap. Because today, compared to just a couple years ago, Turkey is actually expensive. Back in 2021,
Combo donut chicken lunch, $2.80. That same lunch deal today is now 400 Turkish lira, which is over $10.
if you visited Turkey 5 years ago, it felt like a bargain. $10 could get you a full meal, a taxi ride, and still leave change. But now,
a simple lunch in Istanbul can now cost you around 400 lira, maybe even 500 or 600 lira. That's about 10 to 15
That's expensive.
rent prices have more than tripled in some cities. And the Turkish lira, it's lost over 80% of its value in the past 5 years. But how did this happen?
Inflation is right now is very bad. Not only inflation, everything.
Istanbul is very high price right now. The prices are really high.
Imagine your wages have stayed the same, but your currency is losing its value and prices everywhere you go are surging.
And when prices double every year, basic groceries become totally unaffordable.
Alıştık. Alışkanlık oldu artık.
Turkish lira going high, so this is what is this.
The economic crisis here has resulted in many locals trying to move abroad.
Usually they are going to Europe.
I have too many friends and also my cousin going to Europe side, in Europe, in Germany, and also Belgium, French. I'm sometimes going to the United States.
Since the inflation crisis, it's been really hard for locals who earn their wages in Turkish lira. But for those coming in with US dollars, it was cheap. But now that's changed for even tourists too. And tourism had become a lifeline for Turkey's economy, which welcomes over 50 million visitors a year.
But now there are some early signs that tourism numbers are going down.
Before 4 years ago, tourism in Turkey is best in the world. Right now, it's not good.
But how did Turkey become so expensive so fast?
In 2021, I went to this ATM in Istanbul.
All right, so this is about 500 Turkish lira, which is about 67 US dollars. But today, 200 Turkish lira doesn't even equal $13.
That's because the value of its lira keeps crashing more and more and more.
You know, 1 year ago in dollar, 18 Turkish lira, $1 18 Turkish lira. Right now, $1 38 Turkish lira. I think in next year, maybe 70 or 85, 80.
This
The
is
value of the
insane.
currency keeps going down. Imagine how hard it becomes to afford anything that you're importing. Natural gas, cars, sugar, flour, iron, steel, phones. Whether you're a business or a consumer, you're gonna feel the pain.
200 lira is the largest banknote in Turkey, and in 2019, this was equal to about $35. But today, this is just equal to about $5. And that means that 5 Turkish lira today is only equal to about 13 cents.
So how did this happen? Back in 2018, $1 was equal to 4.5 Turkish lira. Today, $1 is nearly 40 Turkish lira. So why did the lira collapse? One big reason is the president's unorthodox economic policies. Erdogan believes that high interest rates cause inflation, which is the opposite of what most economists say, because higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive. So fewer people take out loans for houses, cars, or businesses. People spend less and save more, which cools down the economy and helps bring prices or inflation back down. So while other countries raise rates to cool inflation, Turkey has cut them. The result? Inflation exploded. According to Turkey's official statistics agency, annual inflation in 2022 peaked at 85%. Now in 2023 and 2024, inflation did come down slightly, but still stayed above 50%. So when prices are going up so much, millions have a hard time paying rent or buying groceries. A loaf of bread that cost 2 lira in 2018 now costs between 10 to 15 lira. A bottle of olive oil, over 300 lira. Wages did not keep up. Now, Turkey is no stranger to inflation though. Things got so bad that in 2005, the country made the rare decision to just cut off zeros from its currency. For decades, especially in the 1980s and 1990s, Turkey had crazy high inflation. Prices rose rose so fast that by the early 2000s, everyday purchases like groceries or a cup of tea could cost millions of lira. At one point, the exchange rate had ballooned to around 1.6 million Turkish lira per US dollar, making basic transactions super confusing. So to fix this, the Turkish government introduced a new version of its currency. That meant 1 million old lira was now worth just 1 new lira. So a bottle of water went from like 1.5 million lira to just 1.5. This move was meant to rebuild public confidence, simplify accounting and pricing, and just signal that Turkey was serious about fighting inflation. And for a while it worked. Inflation cooled down in the late 2000s and the Turkish economy stabilized, at least temporarily.
Enflasyondan dolayı, pahalılıktan dolayı eskiye göre daha kötü. Yani 2011'den sonra 2014-2015 gibi iyi değil yani.
But hold on, why did Turkey become so expensive for tourists? Because yes, locals earning
Oh, wow. This is really going to be a downside for a lot of tourists. Imagine Turkey being this expensive in just a short while. All right. You know, we've got a lot of videos, a lot of people talking about how cheap Turkey is, and a lot of people want to go there for tourism, to see, to enjoy themselves and all of that. But the way it's going right now, a lot of tourists will have to like calm down until all this is settled, because it's not really going to be easy, especially if someone is traveling on a budget. This is really not cool. I hope this is being taken care of soon enough, all right?
Turkish lira have been hit the hardest from the beginning of all this because their money lost value, but even tourists with strong dollar are seeing it too. So why is that? Well, that's because Turkey isn't cheap to run anymore. We live in a global economy. When the Turkish lira crashed, the cost of imported goods like gas, food, medicine, or car parts went up a lot. And since Turkey buys many of these things from other countries using dollars or euros, Turkish companies had to raise their prices in lira and in dollars. Also, with inflation so high, even hotels, restaurants, and tour operators keep adjusting prices upward just to survive. That means tourists don't get the same cheap deal they used to. So while the exchange rate might look good, prices inside Turkey have gone up even faster. And that's why, even with US dollars, Turkey doesn't feel cheap anymore. So now let's talk about housing for locals, one of the hardest hit areas. In 2020, you could rent a decent flat in Istanbul for 2,000 to 3,000 lira, but now that same flat can cost 15,000 lira or more.
For a month's salary, you
Wow.
can pay only rent.
Why? Wealthy foreigners started buying Turkish property because it was cheap in dollars or euros. Domestic investors bought real estate as a hedge against inflation, and the government encouraged property purchases for citizenship programs, especially by Gulf and Russian buyers. But for everyday Turks, many were priced out of their own cities. This wasn't just about economics, it was also political. President Erdogan's government has fired multiple central bank governors who disagreed with his policies and tried to control monetary policy directly from the presidency. And each removal triggered sharp drops in the lira and the stock market, and that fueled investor anxiety over the independence of the central bank. International investors lost trust. In 2021, foreign direct investment dropped by 38% compared to 2015. And by 2023, major rating agencies had downgraded Turkey's debt to junk status. The country looked risky, the lira kept falling, and confidence kept falling. This is where it really hurts regular people.
I was talking to a worker here in Istanbul, and he was saying that minimum wage right now is about 22,000 lira, which is about $560 per month. But he said that's, really the bottom level of salaries, maybe 10%. He says a more common average salary would be about 30,000 lira per month, and that's going to be around $780 per month.
Right now, you are going to any shopping. This price is super expensive, and also sometimes you don't see anyone. Maybe do you want to buy sugar? You are going to shopping. You don't see the sugar. Sometimes it's a problem.
The food is expensive. The museum tickets are a little bit expensive.
Gas, electricity, and heating prices soared. In winter, many families couldn't afford to fully heat their homes. University students were forced to live 6 to 8 people in a flat just to afford rent. Doctors, teachers, even engineers were leaving the country for better wages abroad. And the brain drain is real. According to the Turkish Medical Association, more than 10,000 doctors applied to work overseas just between 2021 and 2024. And ironically, while things got harder for locals, tourism boomed here. Around 12% of Turkey's GDP is attributed to tourism. But now tourists, especially going to places like Antalya, are questioning the value.
The moment I heard they charge in euros in Antalya, I was out. Like, I'm not leaving my resort. I will pay for all inclusive, go to Antalya for a week, nothing more, nothing less.
Hotel price is very expensive, and also you're going to any restaurant, this price is not good.
Evet, doğru söylüyor. Gittikçe daha çok pahalaşıyor. O yüzden turistler kaçıyor.
There have been small signs that some tourists are booking other places now because of the price increases. But of course, that depends on how strong your currency is.
Simple people like me, like her, they're most impacted. I think the tourists, it's not much important for tourist people because they come for 1 week, spend money and go back. It's more difficult for people who stay here, live here.
So in mid-2023, Turkey's central bank finally reversed course. New leadership began raising interest rates aggressively from around 8% to over 45% by late 2024. This helped stabilize the lira a bit and inflation has slowed. But the damage had already been done. Savings were wiped out, trust in institutions was broken, and millions were struggling to afford basic life. For now, Turkey is trying to win back investor confidence, but real recovery, it'll take years, not months. Turkey's story offers a powerful lesson for any country, that when a country loses control over its currency and monetary policy, chaos can break out. The cost of everything imported rises dramatically. Economic policies have tangible consequences, and ignoring inflation can lead to more chaos. Stability can't be faked, and while a country might attract tourists or hype, if the local population is struggling to afford basic living costs, the system could ultimately break down.
Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you still visit Turkey despite the prices coming up so much? And also, what does this country need to do to finally stop this economic crisis? While you're at it, check out more of my videos from this country and around the world, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hey, this video is quite informative. All right, I don't even know what to start saying because this is really going to be a downside for lots of tourists. It's really going to, like, a lot of tourists will have to like calm down a while before planning on going to Turkey anytime soon. All right, share your thoughts if you're in Turkey. Share your thoughts and your opinion. Is this true? How are you guys living? Tell us the situation of your country. Like, have you been finding it really easy with high prices? Let us know in the comment section. All right, thank you for watching and see you guys on my next one. Bye.